Hello everyone, welcome back to Cipher, the channel where mysteries breathe and history hides its secrets in the strangest of ways. Tonight, we'll travel to Brazil in the 1960s, where two men were found dead on a remote hillside under some of the strangest circumstances ever recorded. No one saw what happened. No one heard a struggle. But what police discovered that day would confuse the world for decades. This is the chilling story of the lead masks case. It was August 20th, 1966, when a young man hiking near Vintem Hill, just outside Rio de Janeiro, stumbled upon something odd in the tall grass. From a distance, he saw what looked like two bodies lying side by side. At first, he thought it might be people sleeping, but as he got closer, he froze in shock. Two men were dead, their faces covered by strange lead masks, the kind used to protect the eyes from radiation. They wore neat formal suits, waterproof raincoats, and had no visible injuries. It looked as if they had simply lain down and died. The authorities were called immediately. Police arrived and began to examine the bizarre scene. Around the bodies, they found a few puzzling items. A notebook, a few empty water bottles, and a towel. There was also a note written in Portuguese. Translated, it read, "Be at the specified location at 4:30. Take capsules after the effect protects metals. Wait for the signal." What did that mean? What were they waiting for? And what were these capsules they took? The two men were later identified as Manuel Pereira da Cruz and Miguel Jose V, both electronic technicians from the city of Campos dos Goitacazes, about 200 kilometers away. Friends described them as quiet, intelligent, and deeply fascinated by electronics and, strangely, the possibility of extraterrestrial contact. Their families told investigators that they had left town, saying they were going to buy supplies for a project. They took a large amount of cash with them and mentioned they would return in a few days. But they never came back. The autopsy only deepened the mystery. There were no signs of violence, no bullet wounds, and no poisoning could be confirmed. Toxicology tests were incomplete. The lab was overwhelmed and couldn't properly analyze the samples. To this day, the cause of death remains unknown. So what could have led to intelligent technicians to climb a hill, wear lead masks, and die without explanation? Police pieced together their last known movements. Witnesses saw the two men purchasing waterproof coats and a bottle of water. They were calm, polite, and not acting suspiciously. They later boarded a bus toward Niterói and were last seen alive heading up Vintem Hill that same evening. When their bodies were found days later, decomposition had already set in, and the investigation was hampered by rain. Important evidence may have washed away, but what survived was enough to spark endless theories. One of the most popular ideas was that Manuel and Miguel were experimenting with spiritual or extraterrestrial communication. At the time, Brazil had a growing subculture of amateur scientists and ufologists, people obsessed with contacting beings from other worlds through radio, waves, and energy experiments. Some believed that the two men were attempting to make contact with aliens or communicate with spirits using electronic devices. The capsules they took might have been part of a ritual to prepare their bodies or minds for the experience. The lead masks could have been meant to protect their eyes from a blinding light, possibly something they expected to appear, like a UFO or supernatural vision. The cryptic note supports this idea. Wait for the signal. Another theory suggests that they may have been victims of a scam. Someone could have convinced them that by taking special capsules and performing a ritual, they could reach higher consciousness or contact other dimensions. They might have been tricked into poisoning themselves. There's also a scientific theory. The men might have accidentally exposed themselves to a toxic gas or a radioactive substance while experimenting. The masks, in this case, could have been protection, but not nearly enough. However, no evidence of radiation or chemical burns was found at the site. Then there's the espionage angle. Brazil in the 1960s was a hotspot of political tension, and some theorists believe the men may have been involved in secret military or scientific work. Perhaps they carried out an unauthorized test, and something went terribly wrong. The missing equipment, possibly confiscated, might explain the lack of clues. Whatever the truth, the case soon became one of Brazil's most baffling unsolved mysteries. Newspapers published eerie photos of the two bodies, with the headline, "The Mystery of the Lead Masks," and speculation exploded. Psychics, scientists, and skeptics all offered theories. non conclusive. Even stranger was the discovery that this was not the first time something similar had happened. Years earlier, another technician had been found dead under mysterious circumstances, also connected to experiments with radio signals and light phenomena. Some locals even claimed to have seen bright orange lights in the sky over Vintem Hill the night the men died. Was it coincidence or something more? When investigators interviewed people who knew Manuel and Miguel, one man revealed that they often discussed building a device to capture extraterrestrial energy. They were obsessed with the idea that communication with other worlds was possible through radio waves and metal instruments. Could it be that they believed they had succeeded, that the signal they were waiting for was real? If so, maybe they died believing they were about to witness something beyond human understanding. Years passed, but the mystery refused to fade. The case was revisited by journalists, TV shows, and even UFO research. But each time new questions arose instead of answers. In the 1980s, when the files were reopened, investigators found that most of the original evidence had been lost or destroyed. The notebook with the strange message was missing, and the remaining documents had water damage. Even today, modern forensic experts say it's nearly impossible to determine what killed them. Some say it was poison, others say lack of oxygen, and some claim it was psychological, a form of mass delusion fueled by obsession. But for Mani, the lead mask's case remains a symbol of human curiosity, gone too far, the desire to reach beyond our limits, even into danger. The images from that hill remain haunting. Two men, dressed neatly, lying side by side. Sighing, as if shielding themselves from something too bright, too powerful, or too otherworldly for the human eye. Maybe they saw what they were looking for. Maybe they never did. Maybe the signal they were waiting for was their last moment alive. The truth died with them, under the silent Brazilian sky. And so, the question remains, who were they waiting for on that hill? What was the signal? And why did two intelligent men believe they needed lead masks to see it? Some mysteries end in answers. Others, like this one, end in silence. Thank you for watching Moon Cipher. If you enjoy unraveling the world's strangest mysteries, don't forget to subscribe, because here, every mystery hides a deeper truth waiting to be uncovered.